Welcome back to Studio 10.
Bellingrath Gardens and Home is about to turn 80. The founder, Walter Bellingrath, has passed away, but he would have turned 145 tomorrow. So in honor of his birthday, you can visit the gardens for free. This is Catherine Moore and Tom McGee. Take us back. Obviously, there's a lot of rich history in Bellingrath. Where did it all begin?
Well, it all began as a fishing camp. And there were 2 abandoned cabins on the property in 1917, and Walter Bellingrath, who brought bottled Coca-Cola to Mobile in 1903, was a fisherman. And he noticed his property was for sale. He priced it, and he balked at the price. And to be perfectly honest, Walter Bellingrath was one of the cheapest human beings that ever took a breath. And now, you never would have known it with his wife. She was one of the most generous, but Mr. Bellingrath pinched pennies. So anyone that would sit still had to listen to how wonderful the property was, but he couldn't afford it. And yet, by this point, in 1917, he was quite wealthy with Coca-Cola bottling plant going full force. So luckily for us, he had some health problems, and he went to his doctor down at the Vandertort building for a checkup. And all he could talk about was his fishing property. And finally, the doctor kept listening to this, and when Walter Bellingrath asked him, "What's wrong with me?" he said, "You need to learn how to play." So go ahead and buy the fishing camp. And that's what he did in 1917. It was perfect psychiatric advice, because that way Walter Bellingrath, if anyone ever questioned, how did you spend all this money? He said, "I never would have done it, but my doctor told me to do it."
And how many acres?
Today we're almost 1,000 acres total.
When did the gardens start?
That started really as another result of the couple. Mr. Bellingrath was a great fisherman. He was down there fishing. These cabins, of course, this is before World War I, or just about at that period, had no electricity, no running water, and were pretty rough. But he and his buddies would go down there and go fishing. And on a pretty regular basis, they'd hear a car coming at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and who would it be but Bessie Morse Bellingrath, his wife. And Mrs. Bellingrath was a teetotaler, and Mr. Bellingrath was not. So she was coming down there to check up on the boys to see what they were doing at 5 o'clock. And so this got to be a regular joke, really, and they would get rid of all the evidence before she ever set foot on the porch. So she started bringing the azaleas and camellias and flowers from her garden on South Ann Street down there, and everything started doing well. And pretty soon she started telling her French gardener in the mornings, "Let's go on down to the camp." They called it Bell Camp at that point. And bring the men with you. We're going to start planning down there. If I have to spend time down there, I'm going to have it looking nice. So they started, that was in the early 20s, and then by 1927 they hired local architect George Rogers to lay out what we know today as Bellingrath Gardens.
Wow, what an incredible story. And a picture from, when is this, gosh, black and white?
That is a picture from the late 1940s of Mr. Bellingrath's birthday. And they started right around when he turned 80 of opening the gardens up for free on his birthday. Okay. And they'd have a big party down there, and they'd serve Coca-Cola, and that got to be a regular thing. What's so amazing is when you look at these pictures and know that this is August. In the 40s there was no air conditioning, and you see the place just packed with individuals coming to look at the gardens.
And you're going to open it again tomorrow.
Tomorrow's
for free.
his birthday.
For free. And that, I think, is a big part of Bellingrath, and maybe part of the story that's overlooked is the generosity of Bessie Bellingrath. She did so many neat things in the community, and a big part of how the azaleas actually arrived at Bell Camp during the war, if I'm correct. She would find her way to people's homes in Mobile, and she had heard that maybe their family was falling on hard times, and she would knock on the door and say, "You have this specimen of this azalea, and I must have it for our gardens." And so she would pay them enormous sums, but basically so that they wouldn't feel like a charitable case. So, yeah, so the whole concept of having Founders Day, Mr. Bellingrath's birthday, be free admission is basically that pay it forward in that spirit of generosity that they embodied.
So tomorrow you can go visit Bellingrath for free. Just need an ID, right?
Yes, ID. Mobile County and Baldwin County residents. If they'll bring ID, we would love to have everybody come and visit.
And I did want to inject that the way the foundation is written, we cannot offer free admission to the Bellingrath home, so that would be just a $9 upcharge to do the home, but the garden admission is free.
Definitely worth seeing. Our photographer, Joa, came back this morning. He got some video, this video that you're looking at right now, and he said, you know, I knew the flowers were there, the gardens, but I had no idea how much more is there at Bellingrath. What are some things that maybe we haven't seen, maybe we've missed?
There are activities all the time in the gardens. Throughout the summers, we have wonderful Wednesdays, all kinds of different interesting workshops. Some of them are hands-on, some are, garden tours with a lecture. Sometimes we have special events. Our next special event, we actually have an internationally renowned floral designer, Renee Van Rim, who lives in California now, but he will be traveling to Bellingrath to give a really fabulous display and presentation on floral design. I think hand tying European style is his specialty. We'll have 8 regional designers as well for this fall floral showcase premiere, and that's October 8th. The other designers will have floral arrangements throughout the home, so it'll be a great time to visit.
So always something going on.
Always.
And what's in bloom right now?
All kinds of things are in
All
bloom.
the tropicals are in full force.
It's a lot of color.
Alamandas, mandevilla.
Gingers.
The gingers are spectacular. So they're all the tropical plant, hibiscus, all the
The
things that
hibiscus
like
right
warm
now,
weather.
we have some that are enormous, and some of the visitors have been in shock by the size and the varieties that we have.
So this is a great time to go. And one more thing, I know we're running out of time, but you have a contest going on for local students.
We do. We actually have 2, but the one that I'd like to talk about right now is Magic Christmas and Lights. I feel like most people, when they think of Bellingrath, think of our Christmas at Lights.
Yes.
Next year will be our 20th anniversary of doing Magic Christmas and Lights, and we are going to ask students, kindergarten through college, to try to be the next person who has a display in lights. So if they've ever wanted to see their name in lights, this is a great opportunity. All of the information is on our website, but it's simply a submission in paper. We don't want any U-Hauls backing up. We actually have a team, an incredible team who works year-round, hand tying all of the lights, and it's incredible what goes into it. But that is the design competition, and all the information is on the website.
All right, so make sure you check that out. And if you want to visit Bellingrath, that address is on our Studio 10 page on fox10tv.com. If you've never been to Bellingrath Gardens, or if it's been a while, go tomorrow. It's free. The perfect time to go. And again, all those flowers in bloom right now. Why not? Thank you guys so much for being here this morning. You guys ready for some food?
We are. It smells
Smells
so
wonderful.
good.
Yes, it does. Well,